has joined the conference.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So thanks everyone for joining. I just wanted to call out that all of the previous sessions that we've done are available on the CMS Online Help Guide. If you go there to the guide and search for advanced topics or look under author resources, we've got all the topics listed out for what we have. Currently, workflows, the video on that is being edited. There were some audio issues and we're just cleaning that up. But we've got something on code block and, of course, Ali's great performance with page performance. His debut, I think.
Has joined the conference.
As a presenter, so he did a great job. Anyway, all that content is out there, and just wanted to let everybody know, in case you have somebody that you're working with or you're not able to stay in on the entire session, that that content is out there and available to go back and look at it. We also have the PowerPoint. We do keep the PowerPoint up there as well, so you can get a copy of the recording or any kind of salient points. We'll go ahead and pull those out and stick those on the online help guide. So for instance, on the page performance piece, if you go there, it's got some tips and tricks, it has the entire video that's there, and then you can also get to the PowerPoint as well. So on the topics that we've done to date on code block and workflows and page performance, there's a lot of concept around those, which is pretty good. The one we're doing today has got a lot of kind of tactical, this is what it's going to look like. So, jumping into the tool and just going through it. So we've got Kristen Tom, who's going to be doing the presentation today. I'm sure everyone's very familiar with her work, very an advanced super user. So we're excited that we get to hear from her today. Also, small housekeeping thing. We've left the notifications on because I think there might have been some issue. We're not even exactly sure. So if you have to leave early, and I totally get that if you do, if there's a way you can stay on the line, that's great. If not, then we totally get that as well. So anyway, I'm just going to pass this over to Kristen, and then we'll get started.
All right, thanks. Let me just share my screen. All right, can everyone see it? Yep. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so as Chris mentioned, my name is Kristen. I work on the US web team, and I've been in the CMS tool for a very long time, so super familiar with it. And I'll be going over scheduling and anchor tags with you guys today. All right, so this is just the agenda. I'm going to just provide an overview of what scheduling and tagging is, and then I'll just share with you the general features and the use cases of when you would use these two particular features. Then I'll give a demo, and we won't have any exercises today. It's a little straightforward, so I think you guys should be okay with it. And then we'll have some Q&A. All right. Oh, sorry. Forgot to say that. So the purpose of scheduling, especially for the web teams, we have numerous sales, events, announcements that we want to show to our users on a website. And before we had scheduling, a lot of producers had to be up at midnight to publish something for it to go live, whether it be a sale or some type of announcement like the Small Business Big Game. All of us had to be up at 12 a.m. to push it live. And the purpose of scheduling as well is it helps when you have big changes, major changes across both sites.
Has joined the conference.
And you want them to go live at the same time. So that's like a pricing change or redesign where you have like 10 pages. And so the benefits are several changes can go live at the same time, as mentioned before, and also no more manual publishing. So no staying up at 12 a.m. to make sure to push that button. The drawbacks are you cannot accurately test in showroom preview in your production environment. And I'll explain later, but basically you cannot forward dates so that you can't. So when you do a showroom preview, you can only basically make it available live on this particular date in order for you to see it. So I'll also go through that as well, and I'll show you what we usually do to make sure that whatever promo we have, it will show up on the day of. And then the next feature I'll go over is tagging. So tagging is when you want to anchor users to a specific place on the page. So say you have a different section, like 3 or 4, but you want to deep land them onto the bottom of the page. This will allow you to do that. And also, a lot of our pages have, like I said, different sections, and we can use tagging to divide them and just deep land them to whoever section of the page that we want them to go to. So the drawbacks, sometimes you may need to add additional spacing, and I'll show you that later as well, because if you use an on-page nav, which we call our secondary nav, the nav may cover some of the text, so the experience may not be as great if you don't show them what context they're supposed to be in for each section. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. So general features of scheduling. There's two components in CMS where you can have the ability to schedule. So one is the promotion banner. It's usually found at the top on the site. It's like a skinny horizontal image, and it spans across the page. It could just be an image, so if you just want to do an announcement, you can do that as well. Or if you want a CTA with it, you can add that as well. So, for example, we use promotion banners to announce our deep discounts, like Cyber Monday sale, and then we have the banners lead to the pricing page. Within the promotion banner, you have both the image and disclosures attached to that promotion can be scheduled, and then I'll go deeper into that as well. For the promotion banner, the only caveat is you can only use it on 3 places of the page, which is below the main nav, below the hero, or above the footer. If you use a promotion banner somewhere else, the scheduling functionality won't work. The second component that you can also schedule are containers. So when you schedule containers, it has a parent-child relationship. And I'll go deeper into that as well, which sometimes can be a little confusing, but thanks to this new delighter feature that LV has implemented, it's a lot easier to schedule these. And then the good thing about containers is everything within that container can be scheduled. So if you have like 2 components, an image and a text within one container, you can schedule that whole portion to go live at a certain time. And just as a note, since I know a lot of people are in different time zones, the scheduling times are in your domain time zone. So for example, the US, we use Pacific Standard Time since we're located in Mountain View. All right, so here's some use cases. I think I mentioned a lot before, but for the promotion banner, there's product sales, announcements, or advertisements that you want to show your audience. And then for the containers, we usually show certain things at specified times. So for example, we had different weekend and weekday prices. Before we were able to schedule before scheduling was enabled on containers, producers literally have to go in every week and weekend to switch the versions to have weekend pricing versus weekday pricing. And then same thing for images and content. If you want something to go live on a page other than where the promotion banner is able to go, you can also schedule images and content to go live at a certain point in time. So here are a lot of use cases for scheduling and what went wrong. A lot of times when I first started, I encountered these, and also I met with a lot of colleagues that also encountered the same problems. So one is, for example, I scheduled the banner to go live, but it's not appearing on the page. So once I go through the workflow, I can show you these again and just touch upon them more in depth, but there's a way to implement the promo banner in a certain way, and you have to make sure there's a lot of checkpoints to make sure that you're activating on the right day, on the right time, and to make sure this is the banner that you want to be live. So there's an activation check mark. There's also a whole different workflow when you want to schedule things to go live. So instead of, we know that after marking and approval in the workflow, if you're scheduling a page to go live, they'll say waiting for activation, and we need to make sure that it's in that stage in order for it to be scheduled to go live. And then if it's still not working and you can see it across the site that nothing is showing up, then it's usually an ops issue where they may need to manually clear the cache. And then another thing that we saw too is like I accidentally scheduled for the wrong date. In the workflow, there's a way to terminate it and start it over. And then for the container, I'll also go through this more in depth, and I think it'd be easier to show everyone. One thing was I scheduled the section to go live, but it's not appearing on the page. And it's the same thing as with the banner. We have to make sure it says activate to make sure things are going live. And you have to follow the same steps as well for the container as well as you did for the promo banner. And the difference is for the containers is since it has a parent-child relationship, if you create a container, 2 containers, and they're stacked on top of each other, you have to make sure that your second container is not nested under the first. Because if it's nested under the first, it will follow the schedule of the parent container. And also I'll go into that in more detail as well. All right, so before we go into anchor tags, I'm going to do a demo on all the different scheduling functionalities I just spoke about. All right, so first we'll go with the promo banner. And as mentioned before, you have to go to your page properties and enable the promo banner in order for it to work, and then a container will show up. So you go to your page properties, you go to this tab, promo banner container, and then you'll see all these options available. So you just check off the one that you want, and I already checked off the container below the nav, which is right here. So press OK, and then wait for it to reload. All right. All right, so it's right here. And then what you'll want to do is you want to right-click, New, and then Responsive, and then you'll have Promo Banner. So then you go into your Promo Banner, and then since this is a responsive one, there's 2 fields. There's one background image for the desktop version. I'm just going to slide in these. And then there's this one for the mobile. So you'll need to find a smaller image so that it'll render correctly on mobile. Here's that one. And then this are just some options available. So since we're on the top of the fold, I don't want to lazy load it. So I want it to appear right when the user opens the page. And then this is if you want to center a line, left or right, and usually we do center a line. And then same thing for the mobile option. Here's the scheduling. So you'll need to schedule a start date. And say, for example, I want it to go live on Saturday, 12 a.m., and I want to stop on, I only want it live on this particular Saturday. So I go in here and I stop it at 12 a.m. on Sunday. And make sure you check this, activation status, because if you don't check it, then it won't go live. And then here are some other options. If you have a banner that goes live, maybe say like every single weekend, then we usually do like a week. Let's see. Not actually. Here it is, sorry. Yeah, you do a weekly. And then say, for example, you wanted to go live only on the weekends, you would just check off the weekends. If you wanted to only go live on the weekdays, you would check off the weekdays. So just whatever type of promotion you're doing. But for this purpose, we'll just say we're doing it only on one day. So it wouldn't matter what option you pick. All right, so this is the tracking and disclosure area. So the link tracking, this is what your analyst would give you to track all the clicks that you'll have on this promo banner. So we can just do test, promo banner. And then the promotion banner link. So let's do the home page, and then here's the text. So the disclosure text will always fall above all your disclosures at the bottom, and I'll also show you what this looks like. Text disclosure. And then once you have everything, you press OK. And I believe the reason why you cannot see it is because it's not live today. So that's what I mean. It's kind of hard to test it. So let's put it live for today. And then see, now you can see it. So if I don't put it for today, even when I go in showroom preview, you won't be able to see it. And it's, yeah, so it won't show up. So what we usually do to testing is that we usually change the dates to the day that we're implementing it, just so that we make sure all the details that we want to show live will show up correctly. So I probably need to adjust this a little more. I think we have something wrong with our code block on our page. So usually it would show it right here, and I would need to fix it. And then what we usually do if we want to schedule multiple banners, so say we have a sale, a banner from Saturday to Sunday that tells them about sale, and on the last day we want to say last day only, or this is the last day, we would put in another one, and then we just schedule it to go live on that specific day. Then I would reinsert everything with the other, here I could do this one. And then say if I want to go live on the 8th, then I would schedule it for that day. And then I have to input everything again. And then again, see how it's not showing up because it's not live today. So I'll just make it live today for this purpose. And then you see the disclosures here, because we already have one right here, so that's why this is showing up first. And then here's our one that we just put in. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Kristen, for the second container, for the second promo, you clicked activate, so you need to make sure you hit activate not only in the promo banner, but also in that second container.
Right here?
Yeah. Does it matter if activation status is checked in that container?
So, no, it shouldn't. Actually, I actually don't know why it's not showing up right now. Let's see. This shouldn't matter, but let's just double check. Yeah, I think there may possibly be a bug on this page, but what we usually do is we have two banners, so maybe I can show you on a different page what we do. So for example, for this one, we have them all lined up. And we've actually included an include component, and we put the promo banner on this spoiler template since we have them across the whole site. And what we do in this part is the same thing what I just discussed, but just right here. So we have them all lined up, after each other, and they're all scheduled to go on a certain date. So we are preparing for our President's Day promo, and then you can see how this is from 2/15 to 2/18, and it will show this banner, and then from 2/18 to 2/19, it'll show this banner. So to Megan's question, it shouldn't matter on this container on whether you schedule that. I think there's a bug on this page, so that's why it's not showing up. Any other questions? All right. So then I'll go into scheduling different containers. So as mentioned, it's a parent-child relationship. So what we do to make sure that we're not putting content within a container that we don't want to follow the same scheduling is we use this little icon here, and it shows you like what's in this container. So for example, this whole container is holding everything within here. So if I schedule this content to not show up today, so I won't check off Friday. But then say, for example, I wanted to show I'm just copying it. And say I scheduled this one, but I want this one to show up today. And then you'll notice that when I click this blue thing, this new content I put in is within the section. So then when I show you in showroom preview, you won't see any of it because I've scheduled the whole container to not show up today. So in order to do this, what you need to do is you need to make sure that whatever you do, you create another container that's outside of this blue realm. So what you'll need to do, sometimes you may need to create multiple ones. So a new container. And then I'll leave this on to make sure that whatever I'm containing. So see how this is in a new container again. So it looks like this is all within the same one, so I'd probably have to find another way on what I would want to, how I want to schedule it. So that's why it can be a little confusing sometimes, and you also want to have a ton of containers on your page because when you have a lot more, it slows down the load time. So we want to make sure that whatever you schedule, you try to find the smallest part of what you want to change. So, for example, So for example, say if I wanted this section to show up at a certain date and I wanted this one to show up at a certain date. I would copy this. And I would schedule this to go don't want it to go live today, till Saturday. And then I would schedule this one to show up. Today on
Has
Friday.
left the conference.
And then make sure that I take out this one, so we want to deactivate it. So whenever we deactivate it, everything, even though we have information here, it will not, the scheduling won't work. So now, when I preview the page, we should only see the second information. And we can only see second info. And then if I wanted to reverse it, go in here.
Has joined the conference.
Go in here and then check off Friday. And then you'll see first info. And that's how you schedule with containers. So it could be a little tricky, and you usually just need to play around with it till you find where you can insert the new container so that it won't overlap and follow the parent scheduling. Any questions on that? All right.
You've informed them well, I guess. Anyone have just any kind of observations or thoughts on this? Or now's a really good time to bring them up because you've got a lot of brain power in the room for this.
Any tips on using scheduling as well with the include component? Like a lot of times the promo is on a lot of different pages.
Yeah.
Did you do it on different pages or in the include, or any tips on that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before on this one, as you notice on our page, it says actually main include, and it doesn't have a bunch of promos on this page. So if rule of thumb for us, if the same promo banner is on multiple pages, we usually just create a boiler page template so that we can just change it at one place and it'll deploy to all the other pages. And once you change it in here and you schedule it to go live, that's the only place you need to change it at, as long as you've already had this include component on your page already.
And would that work with containers as well?
For the promo banner or the container? Oh, yeah, you mean like using an include component within a container and putting in a container of a bunch of content? I've actually never tried that.
Okay.
But, oh no, Zach, if you have tried it yourself?
I haven't, but it sounds like something fun to do this weekend.
But yeah, I mean, in theory, I think it would be doable, but I haven't actually tried that one. A good question. Anything else? Or I'll move on to anchor tags.
Okay.
All right. So anchor tags. If most of you have used on-page nav, that's one form of anchor tagging, and there's also one that you can put in manually as well. So anchor tags are used to pull a person down the page or bring them to a certain section when you want them to. So for example, this on-page nav does it. Like whenever you click on something, you're brought down the page to a certain section. So for this one, what you do is on the on-page nav, I can click on it. You type in whatever you want to say for the bar part, and then right here, you put in the section IDs and what we call an anchor link. So features, and then manage, how, and then to map them to where to go to, you would put it into the container. So you go to attribute, find the first one, and then you put it right here. And it has to have the exact same spelling and capitalization. So if I were to put in like another S, it wouldn't work. Is there a question? Not a person.
Oh. Sounds like somebody just pressed you on mute.
Yeah. All right. So, and then if I put a cap, okay. Thanks. And if I put a capital F, it would not work as well. So you need to make sure it has the same exact ID. So you'll see on each different container, I'll have a different ID for each one of them so that it'll anchor to that certain section. And then say, for example, I have a link here that I want to deep land someone. So for this page, I wanted to talk about QuickBooks payments,
has left the conference.
And I want to deep land them here. So then click it here, and then they're landed right here. So intuitively, what you would think is you would put the anchor link right here, because this is the section that I want. So to do this as an RTE, you click this, payment, okay. And then in here, to link the certain text, you would go here, hover over it, link, and then you put pound payments. And then it would drop down to the page. So if I did it over here, what would happen is, you see how now it covers everything? It's because it's on-page nav will cover certain elements depending on where you put the tag. So the tag is right here, and then what's happening is the on-page nav overlays on it, so then that's why now your part of your text is covered. So usually what you wanted to do is you want to put it higher. So sometimes you may need to either add more spacing, but then it may look a little strange and not desirable to have a bunch of padding, and then also wouldn't be a great user experience because it may think the page ends. So you try to find other areas on where to put the tags so that it will show up. So what I would do is I would remove it from here. And then have it higher up here. And then have the anchor tag here. Press OK.
Has left the conference.
The spacing's getting a little wonky, but I can fix that later. And then you'll see when we click on QuickBooks Payments, now it's getting them to the right area. So that's something that you may have to play around with, especially when you want to manually put in anchor tags. With this, these sections, we usually add in some space, extra padding as well. All right, so I think I actually explained all the anchor tagging. Yep. Are there any questions?
You've explained it well. Does anyone have any
Join the conference
about this that they want to pose?
So did you mention anything about scheduled activation?
Oh, that's a good one. No, I have not. Let's
Okay,
go
that
through
might
that
be worth talking. Yeah. And I think I know the biggest confusion point there is that scheduled activation happens in Pacific time, but scheduled containers happen in local server time, which is probably not been an issue for you, Kristen, but for a lot of the local folks, it's confusing.
Well, that is a complex. That is pretty complex.
Yeah, so I've never actually experienced that issue just because I'm based in the U.S. So, I guess, Zach, would you be able to speak to that one on the different containers?
Yeah, actually, since
and
you're on the
page
screen, if you just do to start the workflow and show that dialog. So I know a lot of folks do use this feature to schedule activation, and have to wait a sec for that to come up, and then in this option here, if you see publish at, and this is, you can choose the date and time, and so this is I think the way to think about it is this feature, scheduled activation, controls what page is live, what version of a page is live at a given time. The container and the promo banner essentially works by showing and hiding based on the time. And that's, if you ever, there's a couple ways you could preview a page with a scheduled container where you would actually see all of the banners, and it can be confusing. Just, why am I seeing 4 different banners in here? And that's because the only thing it's really doing is showing or hiding each of those, whereas this is actually completely, entirely updating the page that's in production. So
yeah,
I think
that's good to know.
So I guess the short way to summarize it would be, if you want to change an entire page, use scheduled activation. If you're only changing part of a page, but the rest of the page you want to have stay the same, use the scheduled container. And then I think the only other thing to mention with scheduled activation is that it essentially sort of pauses the workflow until that activation time is reached. And so you do have to be careful with that, because you can't edit, if you schedule something to go live 3 days from now, and then tomorrow you go in to edit it, those edits will actually go live with the page being activated. So you have to make sure that if you're scheduling something, you don't, you basically do it when it's going to just be sitting there. You don't have to make any more changes to it.
Yeah, and then also one thing to note with the container scheduling, if you're modifying the page and you inserted containers to go, you scheduled certain containers, you also need to activate the page, because if you just edit it, it won't go live. You need to make sure that you publish the page, and then whatever you scheduled on your containers, that will go live at that certain time.
You guys said this is just for the scheduled containers, not the promo banner scheduling?
So it depends on how you implement on the promo banners. If I implemented the promo banner for the first time and just used the promo banner component, I would need to publish the page as well to go live. And then the promo banner will only show when I scheduled it. However, if I'm using the include component, I just need to publish this page once with the include component, and then from that moment forward, if I ever change anything in the promo banner boiler template, whatever I change here and publish on this page, it will go live on this page. I don't have to publish anything.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. So, Chris, do you want to close?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just do a quick wrap up. So thanks again. So I think this is really good information. And Zach, thanks for the clarification, the further clarification. So what we'll do is, if there are no more questions, we will make all this content available on the CMS Online Help Guide, the video, the PowerPoint. And again, whenever there's something that's worth pulling out in terms of short little bullet points that everyone can use to quickly digest a particular truth within this, we'll throw that up on the page. Also thinking just the whole idea of scheduling might warrant its own page, because there's a couple of different applications for it. So, but anyway, so we'll send out links for that. We have a couple of topic areas for the next sessions. Had a couple of requests on CRXD, and then perhaps something with a deeper dive in responsive editing. We do cover responsive editing when you're onboarded, but there could be some gaps in that. But we're going to, our first kind of response to all these advanced topics were to put together a schedule of 4 of these and put them out there and see how they're working. And it feels like we're getting some pretty good attendance. I think they're really valuable. But the next series will be in communication back to everybody about what those topics will be and when those are going to come up. So I'm guessing there'll be one or two more in February, but we'll communicate those back out. So other than that, thanks for your attendance. And Kristen, nice job. Thanks for taking us through these things. And if nobody has any other questions, I'm sorry?
Oh, nothing. No problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was really informative. And nobody has any other questions, then we'll wish you a great weekend and avoid the Super Bowl traffic if you can. Ready? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has left the conference. Has left the conference.